Foxy Gamers! Welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today we're going to focus on getting this tree just right. And it's going to be more, it's going to be less accurate and more efficient is what I'm prioritizing here. Because, you know, I could make really small pieces and have it be more exact, but then it would, quickly lag our game, especially since with trees, you are likely to want to put them in lots of places. So we will just go for making it sort of look right, and the rest will just kind of work with what we have. The tricky part I was experiencing last time was that these pieces weren't always lining up the way that I wanted them to. So what I'm gonna do is just make... Yeah, see, look at this. It's not level. Oh, well, that's because our ground isn't level. I'm gonna make a long piece here. And this will be what each of our leaves or branches or whatever you want to call it will be based off of. So that way, in case at some point our angle gets a little weird with these, it won't be difficult to just grab this thing here and duplicate it as one. And ideally, this piece would actually be rectangular and not square. But again, in order to do that, I would have to either duplicate this and make it a little wider, or else make this out of the flatter square pieces. And I just don't want to have too many things in this scene. Actually, I should just make one side at a time and then duplicate it. Alright, let's see if by keeping angle snap on, we're actually going to have this be perfectly aligned. Yeah, alright. That looks pretty good. So now we will just duplicate this a bunch of... Whoops, no. We want to grab all of these, minus the pillars, and then start making our layers for our tree. Okay, so we need a piece that's going to... Ooh, actually, yeah, you know what? We need to put this piece across the middle before we duplicate all of that, otherwise we're gonna have a lot more work to do. So we'll get this in here first. Yay, there we go. Okay, so the tricky part is going to be actually shaping this, but we'll start off by trimming off the top a bit. Don't need you or you. Thanks for coming. See you later. I feel like it's going to be easier to do it this way, where we're actually reducing instead of adding to it. Alright, and welcome back, guys. Here is the tree that I came up with. I think it's looking alright. That's kind of like what Lego trees looked like when I was a kid. Yeah, and anyway, another shout out goes to Burnt Custard, because he suggested I use the wooden post 1 meter for doing things like hiding it inside stuff in order to make them easier for people to place and move. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna sink it down into the post of this tree and delete this guy. And that way, if people want to use the blueprint, they can just click on the tree instead of the piece of scenery, because like over here, now that I made these scenery pieces, I have to, if I want to select them, I have to group select all of that. And that isn't as intuitive to me, but over here, I can just move the entire tree around. So I really like that idea, and I'm gonna do that moving forward with all of my blueprints, assuming they are big enough to hide something like a 1-meter post in it. So there we have our tree. And we dropped down to 140 total pieces. It started out at 250, so I feel like that's pretty good considering the amount of detail I was able to achieve. So I will turn this into a blueprint, and we have another thing added to our collection. Yay! Let's give our guests some shade while they're walking by. Although if I want to be proper with it, it needs to fit in spots like this, as though it's actually sitting on the Legos. I also realized that I forgot to put this sphere back, because I was going to put a flower there, and I changed my mind. I will potentially make a series of trees later on to add some variety, because I know there's more than one type of Lego tree. And maybe someday I'll make one of the really complicated ones, but that's not gonna be till after the holidays for sure, when I actually have time to do things again. Our cute little Lego trees. But I want there to be 3, because rule number 1, always do things in odd numbers. It's just more aesthetically pleasing when it's not symmetrical. There we go! Yay! So cute! Oh, I love it, guys! Alright, so now the big thing I want to do is focus on making our sign for the entrance. Now, I think the best way to go about this... Here, I'll show you. This is what the logo looks like, and we're going to put this above our park. I think the easiest thing to do is to make all of the text pieces separately and then piece them together as separate buildings once again. So we'll throw down our roof like usual and start creating the word Lego. Now, I'm sure you know that there's a lot of details in the actual text that I'm probably not going to be able to implement, just because that would take so many pieces. But what I am going to do is make a big base for the text, and then potentially fake some details on it. Let's see. Lego. Yeah. It's about how big I want the L to be, I think. And in order to use as few pieces as possible, we want to make sure not to overlap any more than we need to. Yeah, alright! There we go, guys! There is the beginnings of our sign. Now let's just make sure it's going to be the proper size. I know as a building I cannot rotate it in any direction other than the Y plane, which is why this one is going to have to be a scenery piece so that people can place it exactly however they want. But that does look like it's going to be about the right size. So, oof, this is going to be tricky. In fact, so tricky that I may not have time to complete this tonight, as I'm running a little low with having to do some holiday traveling. Actually, you know, this might not take as long as I think. I bet if we just grab all of these pieces, minus that one, duplicate it, we'll scoot this down here just for a moment till we can turn it black. There we go. Because it looks like in the logo, it's all just kind of extended out from the text itself. So, yeah, this might not be so bad after all. I'm probably not going to add all of the details on the surface, though, just because this is going to end up being a lot of pieces. And if people want to do that themselves, that is quite alright. But I will leave that up to them. This guy, however, needs to be moved. Alright, I think that's a fairly good depth. So now for the movie text. And you know what? This one I might be able to just work on the same building with it because we're at a decent angle, whereas the part, I'm probably going to want to make it a separate building, or at least separate this and then turn it on its side. Whoops. Okay, so this is about the thickness we're going to want for these letters. And this is going to be the tricky part. The Lego part was easy because it was the first thing I was making. Whereas... Oh, actually... Is that going to be better? No. Whereas the movie text is going to be like trying to write happy birthday in the same space, where you don't know if it's going to end up properly. So I'm going to place this out as kind of a guideline first. Don't ask me how these letters are going to be floating in the air. I may be realistic and actually make them touch each other like they would in real life, or I might just let the fantasy kind of take over and have them floating in midair. You know, I think this is maybe gonna work. Now to just start filling in the letters. There isn't an easier way to do this, unfortunately. And because I don't want it to be any thicker than this piece, I'm going to have to use all of these small cubes in order to make up the text. But I can, hopefully, do little tricks like... maybe not. I want to select that. Good, good. And we'll use this as our base here. Get rid of you. Make this as quick and painless as possible by reusing lots of pieces. Okay. So we have that for the M. Alright. I'm actually going to leave a piece over here since it's easier to select and duplicate from that. That's a better idea. Ah, so much easier that way, yes. Now I know that the O has a little slant on it, but we'll worry about that later when it comes to detailing. Now I'm sure you're asking me why I don't just duplicate these from the spot that I place them, but that's because I want to make sure to keep my little guidelines here until I'm ready to replace them. Okay. Yeah. I think that's gonna work out alright. Now for the tricky part of the M. Yay! We have an M! It's not the best looking M in the world, but it's gonna have to do. You know, maybe if we scooch... No, I don't feel like redoing that. Screw that. Alright. So now for the O. I hope it's not going to be as tricky as making the corners on the Lego part of our deal up here. Because I had to, like, piece together some smaller pieces and use multiple ones and then duplicate that, move it into the corners, etc., etc. So hopefully I can just use the same size pieces for this one and not have to worry about that. Oh no. Oh no! Don't be a dick. No! Why is that my... Oh no! Why is that my axis? You're the worst. I guess if I am duplicating more than one of these at a time, I can't do that? I don't know. I'm sure there's some other little secret that I'm unaware of that's happening right now. Alright, let's see if I can make our little corners here. You go away. And you... Yeah, I think this will work a little better just because... Oh, no! Ugh. Never mind. I spoke too soon. Alright, what we're gonna have to do is line this up down here. We're gonna have to rotate without snap. Which means... Whoops. Wanted to duplicate you, not move you. Which means I am going to need to use this corner as sort of a guide for all the other ones. Okay. Except we don't... That's not even really right, is it? It's too sharp of a corner. Poopsicles! We want it... Oh, that's what's the matter. I just need to make this a little bit taller. And you... Don't need you... Well, actually, I guess we did. I don't know, we'll see. These guys... Oh, don't do this to me again. Okay. Maybe this won't be as bad as I thought. I just need to make sure these are gonna line up properly. Alright, looks like we made our O too big. Oh, so big. See how easily we can... Oh, God. Oh, no. This is what I was afraid of! Curses! I bet we're not gonna be able to move these properly now either. Oh, good, we are. Except we didn't grab them all. Alright guys, I think that is going to be all we have time for today, or rather all I have time for. Apologies, but I will be back onto a regular schedule after the holiday season. But with traveling and visiting my family, things are a little bit sporadic for me right now. So soon we will have more videos more often. So let me just stick this over here, pretend like we have our entrance. Yay! Lego movie! Alright guys, thanks a lot for joining me, and I do appreciate your patience while I am busy with things in life. And until next time, stay foxy everyone.